This slide gives an outline of some of the planning policies that are taken into account when making a planning decision. The Southwark Plan sets out the local planning policies of what is expected when building new homes and spaces in Southwark. There are some examples in the handouts. For example, Policy DM9, Design of Places, DM10, Design Qualities, and DM11, Residential Designs. These Southwark policies set out that ceiling heights in new homes should be 2.5 metres, that there should not be any single aspect family units, these are homes with windows in one direction only, and there should be private amenity space for every new home, which either means a garden, terrace or balcony. For flats, there also needs to be communal space that can be used as a play area. The regional planning guidance from the London Mayor and the London Plan sets out the minimum size of communal space and private amenity space for each size home. There should be enough space for all members of the household to sit on the balcony or terrace with a table and chairs. The Mayor's London Plan also includes minimum space standards for new homes. These are included in the handout. These space standards are higher than the space standards in most existing council homes. In the 1960s, space standards were set at a size called Parker Morris standards. These standards were not used in the 1990s and 2000s. The plan standards are larger than Parker Morris standards and are around 10% larger than Parker Morris. This means that a one-bedroom flat for two people would be at least 50 square metres. The council doesn't build bedsits anymore, so 50 square metres would be the minimum size of any new homes proposed. The standards also include a minimum amount of storage space to be provided. For a one-bedroom, two-person flat, this would be a minimum of 1.5 square metres of storage area. There are also local and regional planning policies that include the need to make Section 106 and community infrastructure contributions. These are a fee that a developer has to pay the local and regional council to help offset some of the costs that occurred to having more people living in the area. The money is used by the councils to help provide better infrastructure for the area. This is where the council is building new council homes, only some of these fees have to be paid. So, for example, if the Bakerloo line extension along the Old Kent Road is approved, some of the costs of it will be paid for through the Mayor's Community Infrastructure Levy. This is paid for by developers as a condition of approval of planning applications. Some parts of Southwark are covered by Area Action Plans, known as AAPs, which set out particular expectations for the design approach to be taken in a particular area. The draft Old Kent Road AAP expects new buildings on the Old Kent Road to provide shops on the ground floor fronting onto the Old Kent Road, so that as redevelopment happens, there will be a high street feel to the street. There are also requirements for different parts of the Old Kent Road, so proposed new developments are designed in a sympathetic way to the existing buildings, using brick to have the appearance of some of the Victorian factories and warehouses in the areas. If your estate is in an AAP area, the requirements of the local AAP will affect what can and cannot be given planning consent. The Old Kent Road AAP also identifies some sections where development of tall blocks will be allowed, mostly close to the sites where new tube stations are expected, and other areas where tall blocks will not be given approval. The London-wide guidance in the London Plan and the National Guidance sets out other requirements, such as how dense new developments can be, depending on how well they are served by public transports. Sites with high public transport accessibility level, known as PTAL, PTAL, would be expected to have more homes on them than those with poor access to public transport. In Southwark, areas like the Elephant and Castle have a very good access to public transport, and this was part of the reason that the London Mayor designated them for higher and more dense development. The new Southwark Plan sets out requirements for parking spaces for new developments based on accessibility to public transport. There is a guidance that a minimum of 10% of all new homes must be wheelchair accessible. These are particularly designed requirements for wheelchair accessible homes with larger floor areas, space to turn the wheelchair around, and designated disabled parking spaces. Slide 8 sets out the relevant sections of the new Southwark Plan, including the need for well-designed, affordable homes, and for new council housing development to be at rents that would let people on existing estates and are registered on the housing register and have some housing need, and those on the council housing waiting list to move in. There are also planning policy requirements set out in the new Southwark Plan for the regeneration of neighbourhoods, which mean that design proposals should not just look at building more homes, but also seek to provide social infrastructure, such as doctor surgeries. Best Start in Life, which includes safe play spaces and nursery provision, a strong local economy with job creation in the borough, Healthy Active Lives, which include the provision of the standards for parks and recreational spaces, Cleaner, Greener, Safer, which seeks to improve existing estates by making better use of the space that is on them, encouraging better and more sustainable buildings, which include standards for fuel and water efficiency and providing solar power and improved environment for some wildlife. The Council is hoping that the new Southwark Plan will be formally approved by Government during 2020, and this will mean that the policies outlined on the handout will have more weight when making planning decisions. Slide 9 sets out the minimum amount of affordable homes that any new planning application for housing should provide. This means a minimum of 25% of all new homes in a commercial development should be genuinely affordable. New homes such as council homes at council rent and 10% of intermediate homes such as shared ownership. The proposed development on this estate would provide 100% of new council homes at council rents. Slide 10 sets out what is included in the residential design standards. There are a minimum amount of family homes of 2 and 3 bedrooms and larger that must be provided in all new developments. We have mentioned homes for people in wheelchairs, but there are standards and expectations that all new homes are accessible and built to a lifetime home standard, so that as people get older, they do not need to move. There are particular requirements for tall buildings to meet in terms of layout and siting. The Council Direct Delivery Team also set requirements that housing must be of a high standard and easy to maintain in the long term. The role of the New Homes Project Group would be initially to work with the Council and the architects to develop the planning application. Slide 11 shows what happens after any planning application is approved. This includes the development of technical drawings, checking the work is financially viable. The role of the employer's agent will be to check at key stages that the proposals are financially viable and advising on the best way to choose a builder to construct the new homes. The Council will report to the New Homes Project Group on the financial viability of the project, but there will not be detailed financial information provided. There is likely to be a tender process to get bids from builders before any work on the site is commenced. From the application stage through to choosing of a builder and producing detailed designs will take approximately 9 months, but this could take longer if there are any delays. Slide 12 gives an outline of what is covered by building regulations. The design of new homes would need to meet the construction standards set down by these regulations. The building regulations outline minimum standards for the materials and components that are used when building new homes, and there are checks carried out by building control when construction is happening that the designs and the workmanship and standards are being met. There are details on energy efficiency that include how airtight a building is, and this is tested before there is building regulation sign-off at completion. There are tests on the noise insulation in the new homes, with tests using microphones and small hammers to see the level of noise transmission between neighbouring properties. There are standards for materials and components of the building to make sure the structure is strong enough. There are also standards for fire safety relating to how far each flat is from a fire escape, the fire resistance of doors inside a flat, and the front entry door of the flat, which must be able to withstand fire for 60 minutes. There are specific regulations on fire safety for buildings over 18 metres high, normally 6 storeys, that require higher standards and extra fire safety measures to deal with safe escape routes and smoke extraction. This is the end of the slides and the end of the presentation. I hope the information has been useful, and if you have any questions, please ask the Council's New Homes Project Manager working on your estate. Thank you.